Hey guys, what's going on here? Ben Reckless223 here, and today I'm going to give you a quick tutorial on voltz community modpack. So as we can see here, I'm in a creative little world, and I'm going to explain to you how to start and run a mekisim fusion reactor. So if you're not familiar with voltz modpack, it's a great community, and I would definitely recommend playing it, even if you're going to play it for single player. But the multiplayer is just a lot better. They have townie and they have rating. Everyone can love something. Alright, so first I'm going to just go over you how my setup is. This is a completely blown out of the water, never going to be built in survival scenario. I have a overkill one over here, and a little bit more of a realistic one here. Now, you may be wondering about these lasers and what we can do with them. Well, if we look over here, we have them running from all four sides. You can run it from the top, both sides, and the bottom. So right here, I only have them running from the sides because I got lazy and decided not to put them in the bottom. If you really wanted to, you could take 4 of these lasers because they are a little pricey to make. And you can run them, like, you can just run 4 lasers. Like, you could completely cut out these and just run 4 lasers. So, you have to have your laser amplifiers pointing here. Oh, and these lasers do damage you, so please do be careful. So, it's a pretty easy build to make the reactor. You're just going to need the reactor frames, which are a little difficult to make, but reactor glass, reactor controller, and as many of these ports. I think you can put as many as you want. A couple of these ports, you really only need 2, but I would definitely recommend going for 3. And you're going to need the laser focus matrix. Alright, so make this, it's extremely simple. What we're going to do is we're going to start off with a star pattern here. The way I like to build it is 1, 3, 4 on both sides, 3, cut it back, come back. Now this is where a lot of people do get confused. We're going to build a square like this, yes, on top of the blocks, so that it covers it. And then we're going to remove the corners. Now we're going to do a square again, except cover the corners, like so. Now we're going to do it again without covering the corners, and we're going to finish it off with a triangle like this. Here, top, cover it like this, 3 here, 3 like this, and then on these sides like so. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to add a reactor glassing, just like this. If we put the reactor controller in the middle, this will not work because we still need to add these. Our focus matrix and our glass. Okay. Now, as we can see, it should be working. If I did build this correctly, let me make sure I did. It looks to be correct, but it's not giving me the animation that it is. Well, easy way to test this is if we take a pressure tube, and it is created, as we can see. Goes in, it is created. So, after we have our reactor down, we need to fuel it. So, what we're going to do, we're going to come over here. Again, this is a blown out of the water example, and a lot of these recipes will be different if you do play on the server. Keep that in mind. Very harder. Very more hard, I'm not too sure. So, power our reactors, we're going to need 2 types of fuel. Our first fuel is we're going to need, what's this thing called? I believe it's called deuterium. Deuterium. I'm not sure if I said that correctly, but deuterium is what we're going to need. Okay. We're going to need deuterium and tritium. Okay. So start off with deuterium. Alright, this is going to be the easiest part of this build, in my opinion. Take about 4 electric pumps, I would say would be pretty easy to make. Grab a couple of the filter upgrades that are in here. Filter and speed upgrades if you're feeling that, just to make it a little quicker. You're going to take your energy and pump it into here, into 1 water source. It doesn't have to be an infinite water source, but the little bottom parts do have to be over it, so do make sure that they are over it. Now, these will filter out. Now, if you place them down without putting the filter upgrades in them, they may get water in them. Like just normal water, not heavy water, because heavy water is what we're going for here. Fix to that, place a tank down, and let it fill up with the normal water. could be a normal tank. It'll fill up with the water. And then eventually in these pipes, you'll see a darker water if you are using the mechanical pipes. Okay, so to use this, you're just going to grab a configurator, and we're going to shift and right click. I'm not going to do it, but you want to get it to like this. And two different ways that it does usually look is like, let me just run it into a table so I can give you guys a example. So as we can see, it goes like this. This is going to push it into whatever we're pushing it into, or this is going to push what it's coming from, and this is going to pull it. You can see we just put it in a tank. Okay, so now that this is out of the way, I'm going to explain to you what to do now. After we have our pipes running into our little tank just to filter out the water and keep a little on spare, what we're going to do now is we're going to put it into an electrolyte separator. I like to put it like this, to where this little bar up here is facing this way, so I can put my oxygen to the left and my deuterium to the right. And I'm sorry if I do keep mispronouncing it. It is deuterium. I don't really know. So right here we have our oxygen tank, which is completely filled. You can use your oxygen for really whatever you want. You can pump it into 5 times ore processing. You can pump it into anything that you really feel want. Now, to our right side from how it's built, we're going to be producing deuterium, which is pretty much the setup for this. Very, very extremely straightforward. This is going to be very simple and very easy to do. Now comes the hard part, which I had a little trouble understanding at first. My setup isn't the best for creative, but I'm going to go ahead and give it to you guys in the easiest and fastest way possible. Alright, so as you can see, I have these huge thermal evaporation blocks. If you're going to be playing on the server, do not build these on land. You will get raided instantly. This is a terrible way to do it. What you could do is find a desert, build under the desert as far as you can to go, build these, and pump about 2 for your, what's it called? What's this stupid thing called? The lithium, your liquid lithium, and 2 for your brine. I'm going to explain to you how to get both of these right now. Get brine. It's extremely, extremely simple. Again, this is very overkill. You only need about 3 pipes, I would say, to do this, and 3 sources of water. You're going to pump water into an evaporation block or an evaporation tower, like so. As we can see, this one is producing brine. This is what we want them to produce. I would recommend getting 2 of each. One that will produce the lithium, one that will produce the brine. Double that if you would like. You're probably going to need it to run your reactor if you're running it on high settings anyway. So, once you're pumping your water into here, it's going to start to produce brine. You're going to want to take your valves, and you're going to want to pump it out with ultimate mechanical pipes, or any pipes for that sort. You're going to run it into these ones. These are going to be, don't give these your power. I think my game crashed. Oh no, we're good. Okay, so these do not get water, except for this one, because this one's producing brine as well, but that's not really the point. So these 2 up here is what I'm going to give you guys an example. These are running into evaporation valves, which are now turning the brine that are being produced by the 2 that are getting water into liquid lithium. So I'm going to make this in a more clear phrase. The 2 evaporation towers that you have dedicated to your liquid lithium do not get water pumped into them. They only get brine and heat pumped into them. Another way you can do heat is a fuel wood heater followed by a pressurized tube into a evaporation valve. Now, how you make one of these is extremely simple. Evaporation block, evaporation valves. If you want to do this, you need to make 2 of them. An evaporation controller. Shortest you can go is just like this. You can build it, leave like this. Boom, boom. Boom, boom, boom. And the controller and valve have to be in the middle. They can't go on the sides. So we're going to go boom, boom, boom. Boom, boom, boom. Boom, boom, boom. You can make it 3 high, and this is going to be the least efficient, best one you can make. You're going to get red particles. I have mine off because this is so big and it just gets extreme. Now, the highest you can go is 18 blocks up. Now, if you're going 18 blocks up, you need to cover these, especially if you're underground. But if you have your solar panels, your solar generators, whatever you want to call them, they can pump into the corners like so. But again, if you don't, the corners need to be covered or it will not work. Okay? So now what we're going to do to produce brine, we're going to take our water and we're going to simply pump our water into our pipes here. So this is going to put water in here and we're going to very, very slowly produce brine because it's so small. You can build this 18 blocks up like so. And I would definitely, and since mechanism is biome efficient, you're going to want to put this in a desert. Not anywhere else. You can, but it's not going to be as efficient. Make it 18 blocks high. Put it in the bottom of a desert so you can hide, or if you're playing solo, on your own private single player world, and build it outside on the desert with solar panels like so. Now, what I want to do is we're going to want to take this brine and pump it into another one. Now, this other one is going to produce our liquid lithium. Now, our liquid lithium is how we're going to power our neutron solar panels over there, which I will get into in a second. So, as you can see, I have just created our lithium power tank here. And I'm going to break this and place another valve in here. I like to have 2 valves. Well, you have to have 2 valves. Push into here. Now, as you can see, we're not getting brine. Brine is still being held up in here. What we're going to need to do for this, have our configurer again. Shift, right click until it comes to pull. It's going to look like this. Now, as we can see, it's empty. Look in here. We now are producing liquid lithium. Very little amount because we don't have a big one of these. We're now going to take our liquid lithium and we're going to pump it out the same way we did. So, come over here, for example. We have brine being put in here. Liquid lithium, we're going to shift, right click until it has this little thing and it says pull. Now, people may get lost here. You're going to use mechanical pipes for your liquid lithium. Mechanical pipes for your brine. Okay? What we're going to use to pull our lithium out is pressurized tubes. We're going to now take our solar neutron activators and we're going to pump it through the bottom of this. Now going to take our, and these don't work in the night. These will shut off in the night. So I would recommend putting tanks or something that can save your lithium when you need it. So this is going to take our lithium out of here. Going to produce this lithium into tritium. Tritium is now going to be put into these pipes. Now, another thing you guys should keep note of is you do need to use DT fuel power your sorry, this one has the stuff in it. You're going to need to use DT fuel power your hollow what's it called? Your holorom. So your holorom, it's going to contain 10 DT fuel. Wait, how do you get DT fuel? You're going to pump tritium into the left, deuterium into the right. Okay, once we have this, we're going to place our holorama in there. Boom, done. We're now going to place it in here. If it does consume it, you're going to have to make another one. I know that is annoying, but now you can see, look in here, it says stored DT fuel, ready for reaction. Now, when you are configuring your reactor here, okay, the easiest way to do this, fuel, you have fuel. The highest you can go up to is 98. As you can see, we can't go to 100. If you're using water cooled, the minimum injection rate that you can use is 4. If you're using non-cooled, just normal cooled, the minimum is 2. You have to keep going up by 2s. You can go 2, 4, 6, 8. You can't go 7, 5, or any of those numbers. 12, 16, whatever comes after plus 2. All right, so we're going to just start with 2. And we're going to see how much RF we can produce. And this is a very simple setup as well. We're just going to take our lasers and we're going to point it like this. As you can see, we have a hard slot here. This hard slot needs to be facing the laser focus matrix. Not facing the laser focus matrix, it will break your blocks from hundreds of feet away. Okay? You can pump it from all 4 of the bottom sides except for this one. Now this is important. When you do get it, it's going to come as low. You don't want this to be low, this down here. You want to set it to high, otherwise it's going to continue to shoot your power out and this will never start. Okay, next up, we're running our cables in through here. We're going to have to continue to put them downward. Do not power them until you have multiple laser amplifiers, or again, it will break your machine. And yes, it does do a lot of damage. Especially this one. When you shoot it, it is an instant kill. Okay. Again, this is overkill. I would stop it at about here. 2 to 3 is the survival maximum I would do. Now, see, I'm going to flick on off. This is a very cool animation it'll give you. It's going to spin around. It's going to produce a lot of power. You can see we have our tritium going in through our right one and our tritium going through our left one. It can go either ways. It doesn't matter. And that's proved by here. Okay. Now, what we're going to do here is we're going to see how much RF we're producing. As you can see, we're producing about 1.3 MJs. Let me put it to RF. I believe that this is the closest we'll get to RF. About 400,000 RF. So this is how powerful a mechanism reactor is. Now, I left these on, just one of these on, for about 45 minutes. And we've almost got about, here's the right one, here we go. This is in billions. This is your billions of RF. 247 billion RF. And this is holding a one ultimate cell provider. I'm going to explain to you how to make this in a second. We saw from this, I do believe I actually built that wrong. Oh no, I didn't. It's built correctly. Okay. So, you want to store your power, you have nothing to do with it, and you don't want to waste it. You don't want to continue to use fuel without having spare on reserves. Easy fix. Induction cells. Now, what we're going to need to make an induction cell. Induction port, induction casing, and an induction cell, and an induction cell provider. Now I'm going to click up. Okay, for this we're also going to need our configure. And there are multiple different kinds of the induction providers. So if we look up induction, we can see we have multiple. We have basic, advanced, elite, and ultimate. Now there is what I would recommend going for your start is an advanced or an elite, because the basic it just feels extremely quick. Now, in this puppy is an 18 by 18 by 18. Build one of these. It needs to be a 3 by 4 by 3. 3 tall, 3 wide, 4 long. So I'm going to show you the smallest you can make here. We're going to put the induction cell in the back, induction provider here, casing, or I would recommend putting a port here, port here. Cover, 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 cover. Cover it up, and done. Now, this thing will produce power. And you can use any other one. I would recommend, again, using an advanced or an elite to start off on, so you can mass produce any other kind. Okay. So, what we do now is we're going to pipe the energy we're making from here here. Now, this will completely hold it. Maybe wondering, well, how do I get it out? It's not letting me take it out. I only have the induction port. How do I get, well, what's the other one? This one was red. I can't find it anywhere. This is where your configuring tool comes in. Shift, right click, now an output. Now, Say I wanted to power a energy cube to go do something with it. Who knows? We're going to use a ultimate energy cube for this example. Again, any energy cube will work. We're going to place it here. We're going to place it here, place it here. We can now see that this is filling up extremely quickly, and we are putting a very little dent into our power reserve because this reactor is so powerful. This will hold about 128 MJs, which is about 128,000 RF. Maybe wondering what a GJ is. This is a gigajoule, or a not too sure what it is. But this is billions of RF. 250 billion RF to be more precise. And this is how insane this is. As you can see, we're not doing too bad on fuel. Let's make this a little interesting. And we're just going to pipe it up right to 99, 98. We can now watch this thing and see how fast it spins. Come over here. Look at how much RF we are now producing. We can see it going up I think this is about 1 million per tick. To be more precise, we can go look in here. About 6 million per tick at the moment. You see, this is the RF unit. We're producing about 3 million RF. We have about 100 billion RF in here. So that is absolutely insane. And then these will pretty much never fill up if you're using the ultimates at least. Now let me show you what I have in here. Now, I've seen people do this one time in survival. If I can find the YouTube video, I will link it in the description. This was on a server with simple mechanism. Everything is easy crafting. When I open this, you're going to be extremely shocked. I have seen somebody fill an entire 18 by 18 by 18 casing full of these. Completely full. Up to the roof, down. This held. And they had about 120 of these reactors running. It took them a total of AFKing, I believe it was like 68 hours to fill this entire thing. And it almost broke the game, I'm not gonna lie. They crashed so many times that they would get up at around 3 a.m. just to join back in. They had to literally chunk load these in another dimension and provide wireless power, otherwise their games would instantly crash. And again, I really hope I can find the video because it's more of just talk about what I'm saying, but absolutely insanely cool. This is pretty much it for this. I'm going to go ahead and go over a short 4 times ore processing that I just have set up here. Now, it did get a little griefed because it wasn't exactly working, but more or less the same idea. You're going to just be producing brine with a bunch of water here. So, taking this brine, we're going to put it into a electrolyte separator where we're going to take our oxygen, pump our oxygen into this machine over here. I'll link a better tutorial for you guys in the description. We're going to take our hydrogen and make it into chlorine, which then the chlorine will take it and our hydrogen and chlorine, which will make it into hydrochloride. We'll pump into our chemical injection chamber, turning it into 4 times ore processing. So my next video will most likely be about AE2 and wireless crafting. So stay tuned for that, guys, because there's a lot of difficult tutorials out there, outdated tutorials. I will be doing an update every time server gets an update. Again, Voltz Community Modpack on the Technic webpage. Great server. Recommend joining. Thank you guys for watching.